So, I think we'll get started. It's 10:30. We might have a couple more people come in, but just to try to keep on time. Thanks everybody for coming on a Saturday. Hopefully we will finish in time or early. So I don't think I have any announcements. The only announcement I guess would be there's no class on Monday this week, but we do have a really great soil health class coming up on Wednesday night. And then our first day in the greenhouse will be on Saturday. So next week we'll be in the greenhouse. So don't forget, if you have onions, I know most people are shared plot, but if you want to seed anything and you're not part of the shared plot, just make sure to bring your flats and your seeds and your supplies. Otherwise we'll have stuff ready for people. And we also need greenhouse plants from everyone if we don't have them yet. Seed orders. But so today we're going to talk about record keeping. We're going to start off talking just about record keeping in general, and then we're going to go into setting up accounts for Ag Squared, which is the app-based record keeping tool that we're hoping to get everyone set up with this year for the first time. So these are the objectives. We are hoping that everyone can determine a couple of records. I said 2 just to pick a number that will help you meet your farm goals this season. And I have some terms. So for using the application, we just have a simple agreement that we can fill out together and we'll go over. And then we're gonna work on setting up your account. So that's what we're hopefully gonna do today. So to start, I'm wondering, what are some records that farmers kept last year? And then let's start with that question. What are some records people kept last year? Just, you can shout them out or raise your hand or... Go ahead, Nate.
I keep the seed packet.
Seed packets?
And the receipt. Order receipt.
What else do people keep?
Field.
Field records? What do you mean by field records?
Like the day you planting.
Planting dates?
Greenhouse. Record. Like seeding.
Yeah. Did other farmers keep other records?
Harvest record.
Harvest records.
Inputs record too.
Inputs, yeah. Yep.
Reading record.
You keep records of your weeding? Okay. Like where you weed and when? Okay.
Pounds.
And sorry, yeah. And then just to think a little bit about what were some of the lessons that you learned from the records that you keep? How did you use these records? What did you learn from them last year? If you took the time to review your records and analyze them and think about them, what were some things that you learned from your records from last year?
I would say for this year, probably is we could do better jobs on mileage travel because I don't got that one last year.
Okay. So that's something that you would like to improve. From the records that you did keep, was there any lessons that you learned about your farm? What did you?
Sometimes the harvest record is because sometimes you just say take home, you don't really know for sure how much we'll bring to the market, but just do a total and just say take home. So we know exactly about how much we will give, how much we will deliver to certain customers. That would be nice. But
Yes.
I would better job for this year in more details about
Yeah.
the total harvest, how much I just keep, and how much I sell.
Yep.
The sale record is another thing that I need to keep track of that too because I don't do a very good job on that. So this year I was checklist about what I bring to the market, how much I sell, and there will be a better way to keep track of how much I sell in every
Yep, yep. Yeah, so how much you're bringing to market, or how much to bring to market, like that's a lesson that you learned from your records about how much you brought and then how much you had left over. And with your sales, if you know how much you sell, like I guess you can learn about like how much to grow, like base your production off of your sales, or yeah, other lessons people learned from the records they took last year.
Also, tracking, I did not keep how much left over, but I just keep how much I made for the day I went to sell.
So you kept sales records too?
Yeah.
And what did you learn from your sales records from last year? Like, did you look at it and think about your records that you took and added it all up, and did you learn anything from that?
Yeah.
What did you learn?
I keep the record and what variety and sell the most.
Okay. Yeah. Or you could also keep track of like what market you're selling the most at too, right?
Yes.
And you can know like this market I make this much money, and this other market
Yep.
I keep. Yeah. So this is great.
And also, I think for me, the biggest thing was like the yields.
Yeah.
We know how many plants we grow, but to know how much actual yield we get from that plant.
Yeah.
We had so much waste, I think, in a way.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to grow a certain number of plants, but we didn't think about this plant's going to give you 30, 40 pounds of fruit.
Yeah.
You have to make yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important so that you're planting. Like, did you have any specific example that you can give us from
Like
last
the
year?
tomatoes.
Tomatoes.
Like just enormous amounts of tomatoes that probably sold you 1/20th of
Yeah.
what we actually grew.
Yeah. Yeah. Just because you didn't really know from not having experience in the past, like this is how many tomatoes you can actually get off of one plant. And especially you were in the high tunnel with your tomatoes, so. Yeah. Yep. You guys did have a lot of tomatoes. They did never end. So this is great. I'm going to shut this door so that it's not loud. Cool. So those are some great examples of records people have kept. And this is just kind of the framework for this class. As a beginning farmer, you're learning from everything that you're doing. And some of the biggest lessons are going to come from your own records. And so you can read about average sales per acre or something, but really that's not nearly as relevant for you as a farmer as your own records of what your experience is. So just knowing that your own experience is the best way for you to learn. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about just goal setting around record keeping. And so I also listed on Trisha helped put together some handouts for everyone. And if we've had a goal setting meeting, you have your goals on your sheet that we talked about. And so I just put some example goals up here, but you all have your own individual goals too. So some example goals that I put up here was maybe I want to make more money. That's a pretty easy and standard goal that everyone probably has. Or maybe if you spent a lot of time weeding last year, maybe you want to try to spend less time weeding this year. Or maybe you want to produce more, grow more vegetables on the same piece of land. So rather than increasing your acreage, try to increase your production on the same piece of land that you have. So those are some examples of goals. Does anyone have another goal that they want to share? Just shout it out. Apart from these ones.
I'm looking for a way to do weeding, to reduce weeding or cultivating. is a time cover. So
Yeah.
I would say maybe find a better way to do reading.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe plant track and you have roles and you can use wild horse to ask what they do. Maybe that would be more time efficient.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's a good goal. More time efficient with weeding. Yep. Anybody
My-
else?
Yeah, my goal is to, this year I'm gonna plant here, I'm gonna do different because I go to visit all the farms and they say plow it and keep disking.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 times, you just water and plants come out and this again, and water again, and plants come out and this again, and the third time seed will kill. That I don't know to this year my goal.
Yeah, that's great. And I hope it works. That would be awesome. So those are just some examples, goals. And then the next question to ask yourself is, what information do you need to be able to know if you're meeting your goals? And so you can look at your own goals that you had written down and think about, is there anything, you can also think of a different goal if you don't have goals written down or if you want to change them at all for this purpose. But thinking about the information that you need to know if you're meeting your goal. So our examples, if your goal is to make more money, you have to know how much money currently are you making, and you have to also know how much are you currently spending. And maybe another thing that you would want to know is which crops are making the most money. So like all that could be some questions you can ask yourself, information that you need in order to get you to this make more money goal. Or for spending less time weeding, another example is asking yourself, how much time am I currently spending on weeding? Or how much time would I spend weeding if I used a tractor? So that's maybe like an estimation rather than a record, but it's some information that would be helpful to know in order to answer that question and meet the goal to spend less time weeding. Or producing more on the same piece of land. You could ask, how much is your yield per bed currently? And you could also think about, during the season, do you ever have empty ground? Because that's a potential maybe where you could be planting more and getting more harvest out of that same piece of ground. So looking at your records or asking yourself, do I ever have empty beds in my field? And also, could I plant more times in the same season? So those are some questions that you could ask yourself and some information you might need in order to meet those 3 goals. And then, what records can you keep? So these are just some examples. We already have some of these records up on the list here if people are already keeping some records. But maybe to know the information you need to know in order to make more money, you might want to keep invoices of what your sales were, or receipts from purchases that you've made. Spending less time weeding, maybe you want to track the time that you're spending on weeding and the time it takes to weed a bed with the tractor, and that would be able to help you calculate the answer to the question, if that would save you time. And also thinking about the time it takes to learn how to drive the tractor. So like I know Lou has been working on driving the tractor, but you get so busy in the summer that there's no time to learn how to drive the tractor, even though maybe it would save you time in the long run. It's a balancing act in trying to find like when do you have time to learn, because obviously it's not going to take you.
Is that okay to learn at the beginning of the season because we probably using this in that time because we have not started planning yet? Probably training could be at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I think that that would be a great idea, or at the end of the season. And I guess just in terms of tractor training, Molly always is open to anyone asking her, and she wants you to ask her. So feel free to ask Molly if you want before she gets really crazy busy to learn how to drive the tractor. But yeah, just some considerations. Also, producing more on the same piece of land. Some records that you would need to be able to determine if if you're meeting that goal, are planting dates, harvest dates, and harvest amounts. And maybe like a field map too, so that you can see if you have any empty beds. So these are just some examples of records and information that you need, and how it relates to bigger term goals. So you all have your goals in front of you, and I have a couple of records this year that I would like everyone to keep, and I'm hoping that we can keep them on the app once we get it set up. But I also think that it's important to make records that are important for you, and so like based on your goals, what are some records that you want to keep to get some information that you need to know. And so if you can just spend a couple of minutes and think about 1 or 2 goals that you have, and if there's any information you need in order to meet those goals or know if you're meeting those goals, and then try to come up with a record or 2, and it can just be one of the same ones up here. That's a really good list of records that you need to keep. So if everyone can just spend a couple minutes thinking about that, and then I can walk around and maybe Trisha can help, or people can talk with each other if it's confusing. But spend a couple minutes. Las horas, sí. Pero pensar en unos records, ¿cuántos sí le gustaría realizar este año? Ajá. Ajá. Entonces eso serían las metas. Serían los goals, ¿no? Aprender cómo hacer un tractor.
I think I have seen it. Is it a lot of little wires?
Okay.
Oh, is it flat like this?
Okay.
No, it's just
Pero ¿por qué? Entonces esto sería como la meta como más alta, ¿verdad?
How are you going to find straighter?
you can still use these agencies.
Oh, ¿le gustaría saber algo sobre sembrar con el tractor?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, do you want to sit? There's a computer here, unless you brought a computer. Okay. Does anyone have, are you still working? Everybody, or does anyone have an example? Did you make one far off? Can I call on you?
Well, yeah.
What did you want to say?
One of my goals was to have good yields, minimal waste. And so I would keep track of, you always kept track of the yield,
Mhm.
but it didn't keep track of what we left.
Mm.
So maybe somehow keep track of, maybe visual track or something, just make a note of what we left.
Yeah.
And then keep track of the sales.
Yep.
That process.
Yeah.
See what I, and also the loss, like what I could have,
Yeah.
maybe if I had like, sometimes we ran out of time and things like that, so.
That's a great example. Thanks. Did you make one?
I have mine.
Okay.
Okay. My goal this year, I'm gonna grow more carrots and squash.
Okay.
And planting day, keep that good record.
Mm-hmm.
And greenhouse seeding day, record, keep good job.
So you'll use those records of when you planted, and how will that help you know if you're growing more? Or how do you think it will? How will you use those records of planting dates?
Because I know that if you're not doing right day, then it's not yield well.
Yeah. Okay. So
I see that I do like onions,
yeah.
and I'm not doing the right day, then they not on. So
Yeah.
I also squash.
Yeah. Cool. That's a good. And so you'll have to also think about You'll also have to think about yield records, right? You have
Yes.
to like keep your harvest records so that you know, based on the planting date, which planting date is the best
Yes.
to get the most yield. That's good. And so you're probably using your records from last year and from all the other years that you farmed to
Yes.
know when is the best date. So that's how you're using yours.
I go back to check 2
Yeah.
years, and so I compare.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Did you come up with a goal, Lou? No? Okay, we can work on it. Anybody else? Okay.
I just got here, but based on what I saw in there
Yeah.
and what they have been sharing, for me is since this year I got the 2 certified plot, I'm gonna try to grow some organic, some more extra crop that I have not done it before.
Okay.
Some I tried with my first 2 years farming, but that's conventional, so it's totally different from organic. So I want to go back and try for organic, see how different it is, and also for a couple of different new crop for the CSA for Good Acre and for the member farm.
So then what are the records that you'll have to keep to know?
The date and the day plant and go to fill and the amount that harvest, because I didn't get that done last year. I couldn't do it, so that's one of the big goal that I want to do it this year, and also the profit that I make for all the crop that I plant this year.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. We can do one more, yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
my goal is just to keep feed pressure down. That's my main goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have
Because I expand my plot.
Yeah,
from
a lot of
one to-
times.
Yeah, and my goal is to how I can maximize and the feed pressure. So maybe if I need to maybe use some technique I learned from other farm and be free, since such as in the seed farm, they do have be free and how they can do that, and maybe that technique I need to implement because if the plot get bigger, maybe
Yeah.
I need to do a better job there.
Yeah. So, are there records that you can think of that you can keep, or like what's the information that you'll need to know?
One
And, like,
thing I need to do probably half of that have to be positive mulch and only the habitation crops only keep open, but other than that have to be mulch or using the last year as well positive forbid the let's get forbid again to keep it down. So, but I have to have a good plan, otherwise I get trouble.
I know what record you have. If you can keep track of how much time you're spending.
Yeah.
So with your mileage, you can find out when you got there.
Yeah.
And you can see how many days, hours.
Mhm. It could also be interesting to keep track of like how much does it cost to do the new weed control method, and then think about that versus your time that you have your records. I don't know if you have your records. You did did you keep your records of time last year?
Yeah.
So you know how much time you spent weeding last year
Yeah.
or so. So then you can think about, is it worth it? How much do you pay yourself?
That's
And
right.
so those are all great examples. And so, so who thinks record keeping is hard?
I say it's hard.
You think
When
it's
you are
hard?
busy. When you are busy, you have to make it otherwise.
Yeah.
it's easier.
Yeah. So everyone always tells me that record keeping is hard, and so that's just something that I believe that record keeping is hard. And some people find ways that work for them, and I think some people have really good systems already, and other people still struggle. There's always improvements to be made, but I think that you get so busy in the summer and you're harvesting, or you don't have your you're probably not going to have your laptop in the field, and so like if you like to do spreadsheets, like that's probably not going to happen, and so you're relying on like writing things down, and you've got dirty hands and you've got wet hands and you've got like no time, and so I think record keeping is hard, and I think last year people did a really great job keeping records at the farm. I was really impressed with how good of records everyone kept, but we want to try to make record keeping easier, and so it also is a matter of writing down records in a notebook is good, but then at the end of the year, what do you do with all that information? And do you have to then go back and enter it into a spreadsheet or calculate it with a calculator and like add things up? And it's a lot of work. And I think we want to try to make records more useful for people. I don't think anyone is going to keep records if they don't see the value in keeping records. And so trying to find ways to relate record keeping back to your farm goals, make it important and relevant for you, and then also try to give tools to make it easier to keep records. And so that's why we wrote a grant to get a new app-based record keeping tool for farmers. And this year is the first year we're going to try it. And I hope it is helpful, and I hope it's not more work for people. I think that it could be really a great tool, because if it works to keep records, if you always have your phone, who has a cell phone? Do they always have it with them? Most people, almost everyone. Not everyone does. My dad still leaves his cell phone in the kitchen and never answers. So for some people, maybe it's not a good tool. If that's you, maybe this is not a good tool. But if you have your cell phone on you, and maybe it's easier our thought is like type something in on your phone or click a button on your phone. Maybe it's easier than like having your paper and writing down when it's all wet. And maybe we'll have to invest in some really nice cases for our phones so we don't drop them in the mud. But we're hopefully going to make record keeping easier. And then rather than having to go back and calculate with a calculator or enter things into Excel, using this app, I'm hopeful that we can it'll all be in there, right? And we won't have to, we can just push a button and it will give us a report. And so then we won't have to do the work twice, essentially. And
I got a question. Because when I'm over at Big River Farm, my phone signal dies. When there's no signal.
Mhm.
Does it affect us when we're putting data in, or no?
No, so I was also worried about that, because I also don't have cell phone reception at the farm very well. And so they said that as long as you can open the app and enter in data, and then it will upload it to the cloud the next time you go back into a cell reception area. So yeah. And I will try my best to answer questions. I'm also learning this app, and so I'm not an expert, but I do have a link to the experts, and we're working on trying to make the app more useful for farmers. So we're working on getting it translated into a couple of languages. They already have it in Spanish, but we're also going to work on getting it into Karen if we have a Karen farmer that's interested too. And also we're trying to adapt it so that it can be a useful tool for an incubator farm like ours. Hey Abdi, welcome. Good, how are you?
Hello, everybody.
And so we are thinking maybe this can be a way that rather than May and me running around looking for everyone to try to find your paper folder and look and see, are you keeping the records? Maybe we can just like go on our computer, or I can run a report and May can see like, oh, they kept all these records, and we don't even have to find you, we can just see it so that would be really cool and hopefully save our staff some time too. And then and make it easier too, because I know like finding the right time to interact with everybody with everyone's different schedules is a challenge. So
I have a question.
go ahead, Walker.
Can this app just allow us to take picture for example, we will harvest a particular vegetable bed,
Yeah.
and we picture and we save it? Can we do that about?
I don't know.
It would be
I
cool
think-
if we say, okay, this
Yeah.
is before harvest, and
Yeah.
automated having records about, okay, this is where we harvest from. So.
Yeah, I think that I hope so, and I think that so we have the grant and we have the Ag Squared company is a partner on the grant with us, and so they're working on changing this app to make it more useful for farmers. And so you'll see as part of this project, I am asking you all to provide feedback on your experience with the app a couple of times a year. So I'm just gonna actually pass this out, and we'll go over it. So don't worry about reading it all right now, but that's okay. Thanks, Trisha. Can I actually keep one too? So, so if there's something about the app that you really wish it has that it doesn't have, we have money to like get them to change it to make it more useful. Go ahead.
I have a question, and maybe we'll get into this when we see it. But
Yeah.
does it allow you to dictate into your phone?
I don't
and
know.
then it would type it out? Because wouldn't that be nice to take notes?
That would be nice, and I'm not sure, and I apologize for being pretty. Basically, I've only been trained, and I also wish Molly was here. I think Molly is maybe still coming, but she's actually been using it a little bit. I haven't actually really used it. I've been trained in how to like set up accounts, but like actually entering data, I'm also going to be learning, and so I'm not sure. And I also want to say too that maybe this isn't like, I don't know if it's the best app. There's a lot of other record keeping apps for farmers that are out there. This was the company was excited about doing this project and trying to like work with incubator farms like ours, and so we kind of just went with them, and I hope that it's a good option. And if we also might just decide this doesn't work for us and we don't want to do it, but so hopefully we'll just try it and learn as we go. And if there's feedback like that it doesn't have capabilities, hopefully we can tell them and they can maybe make some changes.
Probably if they allow us to unload our map plugs in there, and that will be easier whenever you're working on that plugs, and just go back and just touch on that plugs and input your record. That will be easier. That's my idea. Because if we can upload our plugs about, okay, this is a plug A, plug B, whatever, and wherever you record, you just go as a subfolder, you go to plug A and just do the record in there. And don't mess up with the other folders.
Yeah.
But later on, after we learn.
Yeah. So today, our goal, I said in the beginning of the presentation, is going to be, so we have our record keeping goals, and then we also want to get everyone's accounts set up. And then next week in the greenhouse, when we have the greenhouse orientation, and then informally, like throughout the rest of the season, we'll we'll be teaching people how do you enter in data. So I'm going to learn that. The actually Egg Squared developer that I'm working with is going to be coming to, he lives in Canada and he's coming here next Friday, and he's going to do like a half a day workshop with our staff on Friday, and then he's going to come to the farm on Saturday, and he'll be there for the greenhouse orientation, and then hopefully whoever's seeding their onions can enter it in the app. That's the hope. And so he'll be there, and we're gonna like get hopefully all these questions answered as much as possible when he's here, and hopefully get pretty familiar with the app. But I also think it will be a matter of people just playing with it and using it and seeing if it works for them. So yeah. So I basically went already through the top paragraph. This top paragraph basically says that it says these things, that it's a tool for farmers to improve their record keeping and make records more useful, regardless of language spoken or whether or not they have reliable computer access. So the other thing about this app is that to set up the account, you do need access to a computer, and that's why we're here today in the computer lab. But in order to enter in data, it can all be done on your phone. And so even if you don't have a computer at home, I'm hopeful that this will still be useful for people. And it's also going to provide a tool for incubator farms like MFA to teach record keeping and more easily communicate with farmers regarding records kept, and also pest and disease monitoring. So there's another hope too, that if you see a bug in your fields and you don't know what it is, or if you want to tell everyone the flea beetles are here and you see flea beetle damage, there's a hope that we can use it as a communication tool. So like maybe you can take a picture of the pest or the disease, and then it will go either back to the staff or out to all the farmers on the farm, and it'll be kind of like a communication tool and like an alert system. So, and maybe we can help identify. And this is like a new feature. I don't know if it will be even ready to go this year, but that's one of the features we had talked about using or developing with them. So this is just an agreement, and so we have these free subscriptions, but I wanted to ask everyone to commit to a couple of things. So this first part where it says farmer agrees to, and so I'm asking farmers to agree to use this app to keep the agreed upon records for their farm for the entire season. And you can use more records, but they wouldn't be required for the agreement. And so I'm asking everyone to keep planting records and hours worked. So those are the two. We want to try to like keep consistent with like a couple of records for everyone so that we can talk as a group. And I think that those will also be really useful records for everyone. Also, one of the bigger goals of this project is to help more farmers get organic certification. We didn't even go into the goals like organic certification or GAP certification, which is a food safety certification, but there's lots of like certification processes that require you to keep records. And then there's also the records that you yourself want to keep, like your hours will probably be more something for individual, like knowing about your efficiency. But anyway, one of the goals of this project is to help more farmers keep the records they need in order to get organic certification. And planting records are definitely one of those required records for organic certification. So that's why I required that one. And then the hours worked, I can't remember the logic in requiring that one, but I do think it will be really helpful, and I hope that sounds reasonable to people. I will also say that we're agreeing to trying out this app to keep these records, and if you start using the app and then decide halfway through the year, I hate this app and I really don't want to ever use it, like there's not going to really be a repercussion. We probably just won't renew it for next year, and we might give that subscription to another farmer. So this contract or this agreement is something that I would like to renew once a year and kind of reassess with everyone on a yearly basis, because we have so many free subscriptions, and I want to make sure that the people that want to use it are able to. And I will also say that if you start keeping some records and then you forget a few, and like if like we'll probably be checking in and being like, hey, like I see you're not really keeping records, like can we help you, and like are there ways we can make this easier? So it's not going to be like a you get in trouble or like there's some like repercussion for not keeping records. There are required records for organic certification, so we will have to find a way to keep records, but anyway, we're asking everyone to keep planting records and hours worked. And then if anyone wants to write in any other records they would like to keep on this app, granted I don't have like a list of a menu to choose from, but based on what you just did, you just worked and wrote down some record goals. If you want to check either these other boxes or write in a couple of other records you want to keep on the app, feel free to do that right now.
So for the harvest and input, we can check too.
You can check them if you want to keep them, yep, on the app. And we'll collect these at the end of the day, and if you want to take a little more time to think about it, that's okay at the end of class. The next bullet point says provide feedback on his or her experience using the app at least twice a year. And so we're probably going to do a couple of surveys, and we'll just do it like when we see you at the farm, or maybe I'll email it to people that are not at the farm and ask for your feedback. And there's also going to be a focus group, so we're going to have like a at the fall, like when people are done, we'll have like a meeting, and we'll invite the people that we're teaching how to use the app and farmers that use the app, and and the Egg Squared developers will come and we'll do a meeting. And so that will be an optional meeting, and I'll probably have money, I'll probably pay people to be there, but that's optional. But I do want everyone to agree to take a couple of surveys in order to use the app. And then I just am realizing that I did not print this, so I apologize. I can email it to people, but Egg Squared has like their own terms of use, and it's very general. It's like when you sign in on the Wi-Fi and you click the accept the terms, it's something like that would normally come up that just has some legal protection for their organization. And I apologize that I did not print it. I meant to print a copy of it. It's long, because if you know, like when you sign up for something new, it usually you like scroll down to the bottom of the page and it takes a really long time, and it's like 9 pages printed out, and so I didn't print one for everyone. But we can for sure put it on the Google site, and then I can also provide it to people if you want to look at it. But it's really general. Like it's like not using the app for illegal things, and it's nothing that anyone really needs to worry about, from my understanding. And then what we're providing on the second part here is a free subscription for 1 year from today, and then it can be renewed. Our grant goes through September 30th of 2021, and after that, you know, farmers would be able to, if you like the tool, you could invest in it on your own. There's also like talks about like Egg Squared is like committed to like making this affordable for people. So like they put in here a $600 value, but they said a lot of farmers don't actually pay that. They have more of like a sliding scale. But until for sure September 30th, 2021, there would be no charge to farmers. So we just want people to use it and see, get your feedback, and try to make it useful for people. And then, but there's no guarantee that it will continue to be free after that. It might be an investment. And if you choose to cancel, you will be able to get your records back. So like we'll be able to download all the information and give you your records. So if you decide at any point you don't want it, we'll be able to give you your records. And then we'll also provide technical assistance. So basically, this is one like educational session, but then also like in the farm, Molly and May and me and Eric, and we'll all hopefully be good at using it, and we'll be able to train people if you have questions, or you can call like from your farm and be like, this isn't working for me, and we can either relay between Egg Squared and you, or maybe we can teach you if we know enough. And I already mentioned that this is just like for 1 year, And so if you are ready to sign this agreement, you can print your name and sign and date, and then I'll sign the other side and make a copy. Does people have questions about this or concerns? It's pretty basic, I think. Okay. And then we're going to set up our accounts. So I will collect these if people have them, and then I will sign them before you go. And then we're going to navigate to, on your paper, you have the URL for agsquared.com. And so, is everybody connected to the internet on your computers? You can all open up your computers now. Thanks, me. There's a Wi-Fi that is called, it's called Library Guest. Is anybody, if anyone's not connected to the Wi-Fi or needs help, raise your hand.
It's already connected. Library device.
It's connected? Yeah? Does anybody need help getting connected to the internet? Otherwise, everyone can go to this URL, agsquared.com. And then we're gonna go to login on the top right-hand side. And then here is where you put in on your paper, you have your username and password.
Mine's not.
Not coming up? Do you think? And Holly and Trisha, if you guys don't mind helping people too. And then once you get it, you can click login.
I think you're right. Are you trying to log on? What's going on?
No, I don't have a. Is it doing it? Or no, is that her?
What's your
username?
Oh, no.
Okay.
So I see that.
Okay. So up here, type in ag squared, AG squared.
Okay. He must have missed. So
I know it. Yep.
Mine's
Have
my
her
first
log-
and last name.
let's have her log in as
Mine's is
Yep, that's it.
me.
Print software, and then we get that pretty set up, so we can do the login.
There's like a.
Okay, first and last name, so it's super easy just to get it.
Okay.
Username.
Yeah.
First name.
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly like
Have
that.
a- you have a-
Yep.
trying to figure out
So
how
type
to
in your
do it.
first
You
name.
wanna just like let me know, tell me what you want it to be, and then
Your
you're
last name.
half a guy.
Okay, I'll look for it.
Okay.
There you go. Don't save, say never. Good.
Thank you.
Okay.
You know what?
So, does everyone look, does their page look something like this? Yeah? Okay, so I have access to everybody's farm, so
Not me.
not everybody,
Hold
you
on.
didn't get there?
This doesn't, yeah, this doesn't seem to work.
I'm gonna go to this MFA Sandbox farm, can you also go there? And I'm sorry.
places?
So you go to the little
Oh, just-
magnifying glass and then look at MFA Sandbox.
Is it under places?
So, yeah, so you can all go click the places. Okay, so it brought you, I guess, to a different one, but we'll start going to, yeah, so we'll start going to the places. And so I guess I just wanted to also say, if you want to change your login, if you hate it, or like if it's spelled wrong, also like you don't have one, so we'll take care of that. I apologize.
Sorry.
But we can change that. Just email me or let me know before we leave, and I can have the app developer, his name is Dave. He set up everyone's usernames for me, and we can change them. And I will also say that you can have multiple people logged into the same account. So, like for the two of you, you have one login, and you can both be logged in, and that's fine. It's, I think, the easiest way to do it. So, if you, like for you and Sue, if you each want to use the app, you can each be signed in at the same time under the same login. And that's what he said would be the easiest way to do. I'm also going to say that for the shared plot farmers, for each shared plot, so you're all logged in as different users into the same farm. And so if one person creates something, it will show up for everyone. So as we're creating these places, we should just have one person do it. So I think it's Alberto, and so you four we'll have to coordinate. So when we create each thing, maybe like one person can raise your hand and say, I'm doing the field.
So we don't have that
We don't have
window
that.
yet.
Okay.
It's
When we
asking for an
create-
address.
It says farm location setup in ours.
Oh,
So like,
great. This is great. So let's set up our farm address. And I'm sorry that I don't have this screen. This is partly me not knowing what's going to happen. So you just need the address and the city and the zip code.
which is
So I will type that up. So if you have your own farm, you can put in your own. Otherwise, this is the address for Big River Farm. And you can update it if you want to. Doesn't matter. Or you don't have that option.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Are you gonna use two? Are you gonna use two?
use two.
Are you gonna use that app too?
Yeah.
So for Fenley, you can put in your own address.
And maybe you have two programs.
They have to give me a username.
And then where does it print? Yeah.
So.
I wanna know where we're going next.
It's working.
I don't have that picture. Where do I climb next?
Okay. I think you're okay. I think yours might already be set up. Did everybody enter that? Is it working?
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Is it working for people?
I don't think I use.
Phone number is up.
You don't need it. You don't need it.
So we take the class.
Yeah, you don't need to put in a phone number.
Yeah, I'm taking classes, and then, yeah. We have 40% knowledge. I'm not farming girl for.
Okay.
So I have land at my house, because I live which I like Fairwell.
Frozen?
Cortana. Yeah, so I'm
I know, I
like,
wonder if there's
I'm
servers.
about an hour south of Minneapolis. Yeah. So go ahead and graduate. It would be like an hour and 45 drive. Hour and 45 minutes of one way.
So I'm gonna,
So.
I'll put this off to the side, and then we're gonna
Same gas.
go to the next step.
Don't put the B on there.
So then, is everybody at this page? Okay. If you're not there yet, that's okay. We'll get you caught up. So we're gonna go to places, and if you have your own farm, you can add whatever places you want. But for everyone who's at Big River Farms, we'll all want to enter in your field and the greenhouse as two places. Those are the two places that we're going to be doing activities. So we're going to be planting things in our fields, and we're going to be planting things in the greenhouse. And we can enter in other places like as we want to, or like if you want to enter in, there's a lot of different, like you can enter in buildings and you can enter in landmarks and other things, but that's not really necessary. I think just the basic ones. And I also think that as people start using the app, maybe you'll realize, oh, it'd be really nice to have this other place in my app, and then we can go back and add them. But for now, let's all click field. And it's going to ask you for your field name. And you all have on your paper your plot assignments, or like you can have if you have a name for your fields.
Okay.
So is this where only one of us from the
This
shared
is where
plot
I think
would-
only one person from the shared
Okay.
plot should probably enter it. We could also enter in multiple ones and then just delete them, but yeah. So maybe, I don't know who wants to do it for the field. Okay, so Dan for the shared plot, so Alberto too would not need to do this. So who has a field number? B1. So you could enter in B1. You don't have to put anything.
So for mine, I should put year 2, like, should I make it?
This doesn't necessarily matter.
Okay.
It's kind of like your own records. Go ahead.
So I have more than one, do I type all of them or just?
Yeah, so if you have more than one, do one at a time. So we'll enter them all in as different fields. So then when you go and want to plant something, it'll be able to record which field you're in.
Oh, okay.
So, Finley.
I have like a big field. Should I divide it or?
Yeah, that's kind of up to you, how you're planning on thinking about your land. I know you're on new land this year. So are you thinking of it in 3 different fields, even though
Yeah,
it's...
because I'm just gonna plant like 3 different varieties. So.
Yeah.
I mean, could divide to zone, maybe zones.
Yeah.
Zone 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Whatever you call
If you're gonna like use them, like do crop rotation and like use them as 3 separate fields, like you can do that. Or you can have it all together as one field.
Okay.
Whatever makes the most sense to
Do you
you.
think it would be too hard to break it into like plots? No.
I mean, I guess...
So like if I had a half an acre and I put that into 6 different plots,
Mhm.
plot 1, 2, 3, you would do that maybe?
I think it's really, yeah, it's up to you. I mean, I guess like not getting so small that you have like 50 things to choose from probably.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because I
Yeah.
think that would maybe end up getting confusing and like knowing like which plot am I in right now. But if
Sure.
it's like a way that you have in your mind like organized that makes sense to you, then yeah.
Okay.
As long as you'll be able
So,
to
like,
know.
If in one plot I've got 6 50-foot rows, I just call it plot 1 and then maybe there's like 3 different plants in there. Although
Yeah.
there's 6 rows.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can always go back in and change
Yeah.
this too. So we put in the name. And the other thing to add in here is the acreage. So here you see dimensions. And so under total area, so like for B1, you guys are gonna do 1/4 of an acre. I'm gonna put 0.25, and then I'm gonna put acre. And then I'm gonna save it. And then you see it shows up right here. Is everyone done with the address for the farm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For my art field, there are cover crop. Do I still need to put it in there?
You should still put it in there because that's something too that you might want to know, like when did I seed my cover crop? I mean, I would recommend putting it in there.
I think there's a couple one that's 1.5, 1.5, but I don't remember exactly which plot. Do you remember?
Oh.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
I see what you mean.
I got a paper here.
Okay, if you have it. So I'm sorry if I combined your acreage. I didn't think about that. I combined people's acreage when they had more than one plot. So does everyone see their plot that they created on the left-hand side of their screen?
Do you want me to put things in?
You can put things in. It's
Okay.
it's the sandbox farm, so it's for playing.
Practice.
So mine isn't accepted. It says one is not a number. What is it?
Yeah.
Put the one.
I wonder if you put a space.
Under,
Oh.
Maybe one was.
Oh,
So what I would do, I would separate all your fields and do M1 and then add another one as M2 and then another one as
Oh. So
M3.
each
Because then you
row.
have, yep, so if you have multiple fields, you can repeat this process for each field. So we have B1,
Laura, how do we add another field?
yep, so then you would go back up and click places again
Okay.
and then click field again.
Oh, okay.
And then it brings up this thing and you can make, we can make E, or
Separate.
E2. And then dimensions. There's a lot of information and blanks in here that
so this little.
we don't need to necessarily fill in. I think it depends on how detailed you want to get. I'm just going to show everyone the basics. And then if you want to go back in later and add in more information, you can do that.
So Laura, Dan made the B1.
Okay.
It showed up on my computer. I put in the acres. Is that showing up on yours?
Yeah.
But Jesse doesn't see it, and I don't know about Alberto. ¿Puede ver B1? Oh, okay.
I don't think that registered. I think that two registered already. We were wondering about that because we see two big ones.
Oh, okay. But
So-
Jesse doesn't see a B1.
You don't see anything yet?
I do my own.
Okay.
Should I go back and say that's wrong? Or
No, yours is right.
Oh.
But for each of these, I would make a separate one big. So do one that's A1 and then add another place. So this is happening to me in the training.
Oh,
And I'm sorry, I don't know what the answer is. I think we can also, like, if you want to just practice doing it, sure, you can just make a couple. Maybe put like Jesse B2 or
Okay.
B1 and then we can delete it later if we need to.
Should we rate one? Should we rate one of these places?
Let's leave them and then we just are practicing kind of like getting things set up and then we can clean it up later. So yeah. So it's nothing to the crops we'll have to make sure that we divide them up so that we're not entering in all the crops. But
So I might be scooting ahead, but I went into the beds tab.
Uh-huh.
So you can literally break those into how many beds you have in your one little plot. And then you can name them all. Or you can put what you're growing there.
that's cool. Yeah. So I have not done all that exploration yet and I don't even know. So like as you find things that look useful to you, use them. And I'm not going to stop anyone. But yeah, hopefully it will be helpful. So everyone has at least one field, maybe a couple.
If you want to change the data, how do you edit?
So then you could just click,
For example, if you go to 0.3 acre,
yeah. Yeah, so then you could do, see like if you click on the field and then there's like a little pencil,
you can give
you can click the pencil
okay.
and then it brings it back.
So think what you can do.
So
So like
that's all we're gonna do for now with the
it
beds.
tells me like how many sisters.
So every field should be a different field.
You can go under
What do you do?
the
Hmm?
So field name is only
you
at
have to
least
go.
one
So you have to go
mark.
to beds up here.
I would do
Okay,
each
so you go
plot,
under this
like
tab.
M5, M4, and have them all separate. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add a growing enclosure. So under, and I don't, this is a silly name, it sounds really weird, a growing enclosure, but we can go to places again,
Now look, there's.
and then click growing enclosure, and we're gonna add the greenhouse. So everyone can add the greenhouse. And if all the shared plot farmers wanna do it, that's fine, we can just go back.
Yeah, now I have 3v1s.
Okay, I think it's taking a little while. Did you ever have anything appear? No,
Jesse's hasn't
that was
shown
happening
up.
to me too in the training, and I don't know why. This is where it would be nice to have Dave here instead of me, but I'm gonna put in the greenhouse. And that's really all you need to put. If you want, you could put in like more information about the size. But I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to put the name and say that it's a greenhouse. So, we have our fields and we have our greenhouse.
Are we gonna do the, are we gonna do
Yeah, you should, yes. I'm sorry, that's a good point. So for the share plot farmers, you should also add a hoop house, because we're going to be planting in the hoop house this year too.
Laura,
Yes.
when we enter, is it automatically safe, or we have to, every time when we upload or update or enter our in there, do we have to save every time, or?
It should automatically save as long as like when you make a thing, like if you make a field, if you click the save button,
Yeah.
then it will automatically save. So it should all automatically save. You shouldn't, like before you log out, you don't have to click save all. Like you don't have to do that. It should
I
all.
mean, like when we enter our record, like the day,
The planting date
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff. This should all automatically save as you're entering it, to my understanding.
Do you know what the dimensions are for your greenhouse? Just
I
so-
think it's 100 by 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, May? May.
Huh?
Is our greenhouse 100 by 30? 30 by 100?
Yeah, 130.
Okay.
100 by 30. The greenhouse.
Does everybody have places? A greenhouse, a hoop house, a field?
So when it says floor space, is that we're talking that's planting area?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the height. Oh, your height's not 100 feet. To be a tall greenhouse.
So I think the floor space would be where you would put in like 30 by 100.
Okay.
But that's also, you don't have to put it in, but you can. One kind of fun thing that you don't need to do is this map. And it found our address. So you could even like add in like a spot, like this field 1 is mapped. And I don't remember how to do this now. This is not part of my training. I'm going rogue and I'm... Oh, so if you click on your field, like if I want to put where B2 is, I can click on my field and then I can click map this. And then,
How do I go property?
this is B2.
So do you
So
want
that's
to
not
start
working
next
for
to
me,
it?
because then when you hit save, it's creating a new field.
Really?
No, it just
Mine worked.
worked. And then for some reason, I click on B1 and then I say map,
Map
this.
this.
And when I save, it creates a new field.
Okay.
Maybe that's because the English is already in there.
I'm not sure.
When you map it, it's different. So it might like.
Maybe. I don't know like how, if it would know though from Google Maps, like how big the acreage is.
It calculates it. Like based on what I drew, it says 0.28 acres.
Oh, wow.
But we had already entered 0.25.
How do you draw?
Yeah. You want to map this and then click the pencil.
I think you just, you click, just like one click. So like, no, don't do what I'm doing right now. I'm not sure.
Do you just click the corners?
Yeah, that's what I did. I just like clicked map this and then I clicked the corners. Is that working for you? You don't have to do this part. This is like an extra add-on thing too. So if you didn't get that, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna go to the next piece. As long as everyone has a field, like their fields and the greenhouse, and if you're growing in the hoop house, if you have that on the left, that's really all you need. I'm gonna click now to this crops tab. And if you're growing at Big River Farms, we put in all the different crops with the harvest units that we use at the farm. So you'll have a whole bunch of crops here on the left. And if you're not growing at Big River Farms, like Fenley, do you have anything there or is it blank?
I have blank for now.
Yeah, so we didn't program in all those crops for people that were not at Big River Farms because maybe you do things differently. And
How do I go back?
I also realized that not everyone is growing all of these crops, and so we also you can delete things too. Like if there's a lot of things in there that you're not growing and you don't want them in there, you can delete them. But they're pre-programmed in so that hopefully we're trying to make it a little easier for people. But does someone have a crop that is not on this list that they're growing? What do you have, Chip?
Laura, since we can delete this, if we don't have it, can I add my crop in there so I only have my crop in my...
Yes. So to delete things, if you want to start with that, we can just do that really quick. You can check one. Wait, no, click it. You click it, just click the name, and then you can click delete this crop. And it will say, it will delete it. Are you sure? And you can say yes. And now we don't have arugula anymore. So,
Laura, I don't see that.
so you click on the crop, like if you don't have dry beans, click on dry beans. You click here, and then you see this trash can.
We should do this or we don't? Okay.
You don't have to.
Can you just check box and see?
Yeah, if we just check the box though.
That you want. Did you find out how to do that? I'm not sure.
I don't know, because I just checked box and I guess it was, I don't know.
So we programmed it so that everyone has everything. So I think you have to delete things.
Or delete?
But I also, can you delete multiple?
Some.
Laura, I don't see that delete.
You don't see this little trash can?
No, I don't have that.
It's,
When
no,
I
you gotta
click-
click it on.
So we should click on
No,
ones we
click
don't
again.
want.
Okay.
Is that
Or
what
click
it
the
says?
actual name.
Let me see.
Oh my gosh. Can you click asparagus?
Oh, there it is.
Maybe now go back to arugula. There it is. It was
Okay.
having some little.
So we create.
Are you saying, Laura, you're saying that we should delete the ones we don't? We should click on the ones we don't want. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know how to delete multiple
I think
ones
you create
at a
then,
time.
Then as you select, and you can either delete later or you can put some things in there, details in there.
We set everyone up with everything. You can keep everything, but if you don't want things, I'm not sure like how to delete things. I'm sorry that I don't know more. Like by checking multiple
I don't know
ones.
what you were, maybe I think I missed what you originally said. This.
If you don't want dry beans, you can click the dry beans, and then you can delete it.
I have artichokes.
And they're not in there. Okay, great. So we're gonna add a crop. So there's gonna be some people that don't have a crop that's on this list. And then for like Fenley and Jennifer, you don't have any crops in your account, except for you do because you're not in your account. But, so how to add a new crop? You click this crop button on the top left. And so for the shared plot farmers, would Dan do cilantro and celery? And Kate, do you want to do broccoli and what's capture? Cabbage. And then Jesse, do you want to do parade, bunching onions, and tomatillos? And then Alberto, would you puede añadir jalapeños y leeks y coliflor? And that's all the crops, right?
They want us to put in a unit.
Yes. So this is like,
How would you measure like your harvest of artichokes as a unit?
yeah. So this
Would you
is
do like a bulb?
so you could either do okay. I'm gonna click new crop
Okay.
and we're gonna put in artichokes.
What is a new crop?
And
So you got
so
the crop.
new crop is here in the top left. And we can name it however you want to name it. I would just mention, or I would not put in your variety yet. I would just put in your crop. And you can pick an image. So like there's all of these little pictures of things that look like different vegetables that someone worked really hard on, you can tell. And I don't know which one do you think looks like an artichoke.
I picked one at the top. On the top row, it looks like it's next to a peach.
This one?
Yeah,
It
maybe.
does look like an artichoke.
All right, so that's our artichoke image. It also could be a hops flower. So you can pick whatever one you like. And I'm not gonna worry about entering anything else except for the standard unit. So if you click this little list thing, it will give you a lot of standards, ways to harvest it. And so you're thinking of not how you're planting it, but you're thinking of how you're harvesting it at this point. And so, how do you harvest your artichokes? How do you sell your artichokes?
Well, I have plants. I don't actually have artichokes yet.
Yes. Does anyone know, like, how do you think when you buy an artichoke in the store, do you buy it by the pound or do you buy it by each artichoke? Or do you bunch them? I don't think you bunch them.
I'm pretty sure it's by the head.
By the head? Okay. So this is sort of like, it's weird if you don't really know. That's also why we programmed in everything for people as much as we could so that like you kind of had some standards. And I could actually send out like, there's some like, there's some standards, like I have a harvest and post-harvest handling standards like handout that tells you, it's like a cheat sheet. It might also not have artichokes because it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I will make sure to send that out to everyone or put it on the Google site.
But I could just say pounds, and then if I needed to change it later,
Yeah.
do that.
I mean, I guess like if you're gonna be harvesting it, do you think that when you harvest it, are you gonna weigh it or are you gonna count?
I'm probably not gonna weigh it. I'll probably count the heads or
So then
the bulbs.
So let's do either each. I honestly only do at the farm. We don't do a lot of like we don't. Oh, we do say heads, I guess. I feel like we try to do each, but
Okay.
excuse me. Thank you. So let's put heads. And then we're gonna save it. That's all I'm gonna put to this line. So now we have artichokes. Here it is. And
If you haven't saved it yet, I just looked it up, it says the average is 40 to 80 pounds per acre. So it is going by pounds for harvest, but I think it's going by heads per scale.
okay. Yeah. And some of them have two. So I'm gonna go to carrots because I know that carrots we harvest in two different ways. Sometimes we do it by, and actually, if you go to this tab that says harvest units right here, it'll tell you this is by the pound. This is actually a bad example because there's multiple ones. And I don't know why.
I don't have like, I just have carrot bulb or carrot bunch.
That looks like- huh. Does broccoli have a couple?
Yep, then harvest units.
Okay.
Pounds or each.
Yes. So you can also add here, you can click this button, add harvest unit. So like if you sometimes harvest it by the pound and you sometimes harvest it by each, you can add it on this button. And we're under the harvest units tab. But that's all really I'm gonna worry about for each crop. I'm just gonna worry about the harvest units and the crop name and if you want like a little picture. The little pictures just make it
So will
more
it
fun.
save, it doesn't ask me to save for broccoli?
Like, what did you do?
Like if we want, like, let's say I wanted to do each,
Uh-huh.
so,
So you want to add a new one?
no, are we determining what the unit will be for the harvest of broccoli?
So we're putting in all the options right now, and then like when we're actually harvesting it and entering in our records,
Oh, then.
then we'll choose one. Like, are you harvesting it by each, or are you harvesting it by the pound? So
This is just what's gonna show up.
yes, so we're like programming in all of the possible options right now, and then like when we enter in our actual records, when we enter in data, it'll all be there. That's kind of what we're trying to do today. So
We're just doing harvesting.
yeah, or like we're just entering like all the crops and all the seeds and all the like all the options that you could potentially need when you're entering in your data.
We just enter any crop that you like and in there.
Yes. So, and we're not talking about seeds yet. So don't go into varieties. Just talk about your crops. And you should have a whole bunch of them in there already. Do you have everything in there on the left already?
Yeah.
And then if there's some missing, if you notice there's some missing, you can go through that process of clicking the crop
If we
plus
don't want,
button.
if we don't want to delete and we don't want to add, just leave it that way.
Yep. If you're fine with what's in there, just leave it.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
So Laura,
Yeah.
if I add my crop onto my under my login,
Mm-hmm.
so that gonna be only me see my file in there, or other everybody gonna see it.
So you will see it, and I can see it.
Mm.
So we have like the staff will be able to see, because we're trying to help like check people's records and like make sure that things are happening. So, and actually that should be something I should add into the agreement. I'm figuring this out as I'm going. But so we as staff can see, but we would normally be asking you for your records anyway. But the other farmers, unless you're doing like shared plot, like all the shared plot farmers in year one can see whatever all the other shared plot farmers are putting in because they're farming together. But otherwise, none of the other farmers can see what you're putting in.
Okay, so I only see my record, I only see my crop.
You see
and add it
yours.
to mine.
You see yours, and I can see yours, but nobody else.
Is corn just by each? Not each one?
You could do dozen, or you could do like,
So I can add
you
it
could
to
do
the-
like case, I guess.
I think it's dozen. Corn.
Dozen typically.
5 dozen, yeah.
So I would just type in,
Yeah. So we don't have corn on there.
no, it is on there, but it's just each.
Okay. Yeah. So you could add in a new harvest unit. So like corn. If we go to harvest units, there's only each. So yeah, you could go add harvest unit.
I tried doing that and it won't save.
It won't save.
You don't have the corn in this?
So the name would be your like that would be dozen.
I typed in corn, what is
And I think, so then this is where it's confusing, and this is why Molly programmed everything in, because so the amount in standard dozen, so whatever you put in, I think first is gonna be like, so I think I would put in 12, because it has that amount in standard unit. I think I would put 12 and then save.
Oh, well, okay then.
Oh, I guess all of us put it in, so now there's like 5 of them. We all did it, right? Is that how?
Well, I think maybe, did you do it?
I did it.
So she did it and I did it, so
I
then,
did it.
and
Oh,
we're in
that's
the
why
same
we both
account.
did it.
Her and I are in the same account, so
But
yours,
I see,
So you got it in corn.
you do.
I see mine in 2
She clicked on.
That's weird.
Is that right?
Oh no, it's actually already in there.
Well, no, because
Okay.
you're
I
logged
see
in as
Corel
your
now.
personal. That's
Scroll
weird.
down.
I don't know
Oh my
if
gosh,
it's
this program is, I hope it's not going to be like crazy the whole
Oh,
time.
gosh, oh, Mom.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That
Yep, so
makes
you
sense
have
if it's
several
fine.
pages of vegetables, so it's all
It's just funny though because you should all be like logged into your own personal account. So like whatever you do shouldn't affect like what other people see.
But I see 3, which would be your 2.
Yeah, that's weird. Unless like mine is programming in.
But I'll delete this.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move on to the next step. So you can add in your crops.
What's your first crop now? Is it basil if you go in
Okay.
Vegetables.
Add in basil.
Don't take away the vegetables.
So that's weird though, because
Yeah,
Mine basil.
my basil should not be deleted.
Yeah,
Right.
I have basil still.
Okay, I'm gonna bring this problem back to the app developer
I
guy.
have basil still too.
You do have basil?
I do.
See, but you shouldn't, because if you deleted it.
Let me refresh.
Basil's gone.
sorry.
Forget.
Mine's gone.
Really?
I gone.
Oh, now it's gone. I just refreshed. Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Okay,
It's
so
going back. It's going
that's
back
so
right
this
now.
is a problem.
Basil
So
is back.
everyone's
The basil is back.
crops are
The
connected.
basil is back.
Basil's still in
The basil's back.
But
Yeah.
arugula is gone.
Hold
I
on,
deleted
hold on.
arugula, but I'm in the
So your changes affect.
sandbox farm.
Yeah. I don't have arugula now.
So maybe I saw yours.
I didn't delete
Yours
it.
mastered it, I think.
Yep.
Well,
Administrator.
hopefully we can remember how to do this process. I'm gonna go back to David, this guy, and tell him that this is weird. It shouldn't be happening like this. But maybe don't spend a whole bunch of time entering in all this stuff. Maybe let's focusing on learning how to do it, and then I will confirm with you to make sure that like you don't add a whole bunch of crops and then someone else deletes them all, because that would be really frustrating. So I apologize that that's happening. I'll let him know.
What about flowers?
Yeah, that's a crop. Yep. So your crop could be like sunflowers or whatever.
That's the way that it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. All right, I'm gonna do a couple more things so that we get out of
Or
here
I
on time.
noticed we don't have to delete, we just check the crop that we plant. That's what I understand.
What do you?
Just check the crop that we plan to plant. And just add that to your crop.
Maybe just add the.
Instead of delete, just add the crop that you add to your planting list. So
How are you doing that?
I just check more and add to, because the description say you select, then you click on planting, then it will add it to your planting list. Because the description say first step you choose the class, second step you click planting, then third step you export into your Excel.
Well, I think that would be like adding a record though, rather than putting in the crops like to be able to choose from. Because
The list.
as we're adding records, it's supposed to be really easy to do on your phone instead of having to go into the computer, because it sounds like you have to do multiple steps to do that. But on the phone you should be able to just click like planting and then click basil and then like it knows and like what field, and then it should like all automatically go in. But right now I'm just trying to come up with a list of everyone's crops that they will have over the course of the year. And so I will follow up on this. I apologize if that's being weird.
Laura, can you also ask that guy to see if we can keep this original list from you guys, but can we just as Rocco said, can we just have a space or a photo or either way that you have our own in here too, and then
To have both.
It's either way, like we click or somehow that we know, okay, this is mine, my crops, and all of this list is still right here.
Okay.
It looks like you can, if you drop down the season filter, you can create a season. And maybe you could call it your spring season 1, or you could make different.
Where's that?
Categories.
Right here, so that says season,
Oh,
or you can
okay.
drop that down, and then you can create a new season.
Oh, okay.
So you could make like a.
I'll follow
Let's
up
try.
too and see if I can answer any more of those questions with the app developer. But I'm going to go to the next step. This hopefully will be easy. So I'm going to add in your farm team. So like if you farm with your family or with your relatives or whoever, we're going to go to resources, this one on the top, and we're going to click staff. So you can see we're in here as the staff people, but you probably don't have staff people on your farm. So you can add new staff. And the shared plot farmers, you can each add yourself if you want. And you can just enter in people's names. So like, we could enter in Sue. just enter in the name. And the other piece of information that we have to add is the cost tracking. And so I know that like a lot of people don't actually have set wages for their employees, or like sometimes it's just your farm team and no one's like, you're just drawing a owner's draw and it's not a wage. But the app makes us add in some amount of wages for every staff person. So you just have to put something in. So if you do pay an employee a certain like dollars per hour, you can put that in here, wages. Like if it's $8 an hour, you can do that. I'm just gonna put in 1. And if you don't know, or if you don't pay people, just put in 1. And then we'll save it. So if you're farming with your family or with other employees, if you have employees, you could add them in. And those are the people that we're going to like if Sue is the person that's driving the tractor, then he can add himself. Like when he's actually driving the tractor, he can say, I'm Sue and I'm driving the tractor.
On the description?
Put in your time. I put myself.
That would be for tracking hours and activities, yeah.
This is where you would track your time.
Yes. Or like how you would know whose time is spent doing what. Yeah.
But there's a schedule.
I'm not sure. There is a way to schedule things, and I still need to learn about that.
Well, if you type in, like, if you click Eric's name, you'll get personal info cost for schedule. And I was just wondering, is this where you
You could like assign things to people. I think you can do that.
or like if I had my own name, is this where I would enter my time, or is there another place where we put our time?
So I mean, like you'll be using your app to enter in your time. Like you won't be logging in. You'll just be like, I'm starting, I'm stopping. So hopefully it'll be easy. Yeah, we won't have to actually go in here. But like if there was like something like, hey, today, I think that you can use this as in a way to like manage staff. So like if the shared plot, like if May wanted to put in like tasks on certain days of the week, like weeding on Wednesday, the onions or something, then the shared plot people could see that and be like, oh, this is what we're doing on Wednesday. So I think we can use it like that, but I have not learned how yet. So
What about like a future planting? You could,
like schedule.
would you, yeah, like,
So
oh, so it'd be not necessarily that, maybe the planting itself would be under a different tab, but the time in which you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like schedule things. You can also use this app for planning, but I think that like you could put all of your crop plans, like your planned planting dates and stuff in here, and then it would come up as like all right, like it's time to plant your onions. But I've heard from the guy who manages this, and I also know that like nothing really goes according to plan. And then if you don't follow the plan as how you programmed it in, then it gets like, it's like double the work to like delete things and re-enter them, or like to make sure that you're keeping up to date with that. Like, so he has not recommended us trying right at the get-go, or anyway, to use it as a planning tool, but like really, like we already have all of our plans, and using it more as like a record-keeping tool. So, did everyone add themselves or a staff person to their farm? Okay. The next thing that you're going to be able to do is add, if you want, you can add machinery. Like if anyone has the tractor, or if they have a rototiller or something that they want to add in as machinery, it's the same way. You can add in machinery. And there's so many options here. I kind of don't like how many options they give us because we are so small that like, I don't know. I don't want to think about all these different options, but if you wanted to add a tractor, you can click machinery and then click, oops, like, I was thinking there was a tractor one.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter like what option either you pick. We could even just say other. And we could say what's a tractor someone has? Farmall. Now we have a farmall. So that's optional. Most people are going to be using Big River Farms machinery, so you don't have to do that. Supplies is going to be where we're going to enter in most of our stuff, and this is where seeds are going to go. Seeds and inputs are going to go under supplies. So inputs, we've already entered in the inputs that Big River Farms uses. Does everyone see inputs except for Fenley? So it's the same way. There's a supplies button. We can click it and then we can check like what kind of a supplier are we going to enter in. So if you had like a pest control chemical, you could click that, pest control and then chemical. So this is how we're going to be tracking our inputs, right? And so this could be like Entrust. And you can enter in as much stuff as you want under here. I mean, you could enter in organic information. It's approved for organic production. Whatever you want to enter in under here. It's kind of optional.
Yeah, I cannot go through the machinery. I can't go through that.
You can't go through.
I cannot access.
And then you can click the machinery, and then you have to check one of those. So don't even click, just wave your mouse over it, and then we can click like other. Oops. So just like wave your mouse in, and then you have to kind of carefully go over to the right without going off of those layers. And then you can click one. Anyone. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. And then you can put in the name of your tractor. Yeah.
Click supplies, it just looks blank.
Okay.
Versus all of the other ones, stat ones.
Inventory work. I'm sorry.
No,
Do you
it's
want to
okay.
log in as
I can just watch, it's fine. You can
Oh.
log in under ours.
I'll also
Yeah.
bring that back to the guy.
Just Kate check.
Okay.
Okay. But the biggest thing, so you can enter inputs. We've already put in ones that we're going to use at Big River Farms. But the biggest thing you'll notice over here is we've entered in a couple of seeds. So this is where you want your seed list and your your invoices or your seed order, and we're going to enter in all of our seeds by variety. And so we're going to go to supplies, and seeds we're going to say is a planting material. So go to planting materials. And then we can click seed. And for the naming convention, in order to keep all of your seeds together, so like you can see our inputs are on top, and then like there's a couple seeds down below. We're gonna just go. I wrote this down, or actually Trisha wrote it down on all of your handouts. The naming convention is gonna be, you're gonna write seed for everything. So like seed, and then do a dash, and then say your crop. So what's a seed someone has this year?
Onion.
Onion. And then a dash, and then what's the variety of onions?
There's Cortland.
Cortland. Oops. So for every seed, we're always going to put seed, and then a dash, and then the crop, and then a dash, and then the variety name. And we are going to also have to always go to this commercial information tab. So click this little down arrow. And this is where you would enter in under supplier Where did you get your Cortland onion seeds?
Johnny's.
From Johnny's. So I'm writing Johnny's there. And the next step is under organic information. I'm going to click organic. Are they organic? So if they're not organic, this is a nice way to differentiate your if you have any seeds that are not certified organic, you would not check that. But if they are, it's a nice way to track whether things are organic or not.
Laura, can we put like untreated seed for the organic note?
Yes. You
Since
could.
they're not organic, we don't check on organic.
Yeah, you could write untreated. Yeah.
Laura, just a note.
Okay.
I logged in under Chrome and it's working. So
Oh.
versus Internet Explorer and Chrome. Just in
Okay,
case
so
someone has
Chrome is
that
working
problem.
better.
Seems like it's working.
Okay. I'll verify too, like, is there like recommended browsers? So that's good. That's good to know. Maybe that was also my problem.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Laura, the difference between brand name, supplier, and product name?
Yeah.
Which are which?
I think we're just worried about the supplier.
Just the supplier. Great.
So like, where is your seed source?
Great.
That's like another word for seed source, is your supplier. I mean, like the brand name, I guess, would be the same, and the product name. I don't know. I don't want to like.
Yeah.
I think this is also kind of a standard like supply format. So like, if your supply was like, I don't know, a cedar, the brand name might be different than the supplier, and it might have a product number and a product name and like a model number. But like for seeds, really, that's not relevant. The only thing really that's relevant is the supplier. And so then we're checking if it's organic, or you can write a note if it's untreated. And then I think then under crop information is the next thing. And it's double entering it, but I've been told that this will help us later. So under crop information, we want to re-enter the variety and the crop. So our variety again is Cortland, and our crop is onion. So I don't know why exactly that's going to be helpful, but I've been told that it's worth it to enter it twice now, and it will be helpful in the future.
So what is the harvest duration? How long?
Yeah, that would probably be like how many days, like 2 weeks or something. Like once it becomes ready to harvest, how long can you harvest it before it's done? But I'm not sure like how useful that is yet. I've been told to enter, and I'm telling you just the very basics. And then if you decide to enter in more, that's fine. And then the last thing before we click save is we're going to check up on the top right hand side this track usage and cost by activity. And so we can either enter in, so we also have to enter in a cost for our seeds. And so if you actually can figure this out, this is like a way of calculating your cost per crop. Unfortunately, we can't put in like by the packet. So you can see on that drop down list, there's all these different units. So like we know like an M is 1,000 seeds, or an ounce, or a pound. But if you ordered a quarter pound, that's not a unit. And so if you know your price per quarter pound, then you would have to do math and multiply that by 4 to get your cost per pound, which you could actually enter in here the real cost. So if you want to do that math and converting, you can, but I would say it's not going to be necessary for this first year. We can keep it simple and just say unit, and we can just say it's one unit is the cost. So we can do that for all of them just to keep it simple. If you want to go in and do all that math for all of your crops, you can, but it's a little complicated. So we're gonna
Wow.
just, yeah.
If, for example, if I'm buying like 1 M, and I got the amount how much it costs, but I'm not using the whole 1M. I only use half.
You
Is
could
that
still
what
put
you're
in the
talking
cost of the whole 1M because even if you don't use it all, you'll be able to use,
like next year.
yeah.
But because I'm buying during this year from this season, then I can. put in-
I would put in all of it and then
Oh, yeah.
I guess I would just put in all of it. I don't know
I was
exactly the
wondering,
answer,
I was
but
wondering, do I have to like do the math? You say like, okay, I buy 1M, but I don't use all of them. Just half, so can just like divide the cost into two, and just put half of it.
yeah, I see what you mean. I'm not sure. I think you could probably do it either way, Shoa. Because I mean, I guess the cost per like seed, for instance, would be the same, but it would just depend on what year you're applying it to. So I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know what I would say. So should we do one more, or just did the shared plot farmers? Did you all enter in the seeds that we assigned you?
Working on it.
Okay.
Well, it's, yes, but it's loading
Okay.
again and it's odd.
It's not working very well.
No.
I'm gonna enter in one more.
I see onion green.
So I'm gonna go.
I did that one.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. And my cabbage went away and your celery went away.
So things are disappearing.
But I
Yeah.
can't see your name one.
So I'm gonna just let him know that like the shared plot.
No, it's not working out. No,
Yeah, mine, I did.
I entered cabbage and Dana and celery and those aren't showing up, but Jesse's is. So that's,
Okay.
that's great.
Can we do individualized plan instead of groups, such as each farmer had different plan or keep track?
So for you, you should have your own.
Oh,
Like yours should not be being affected by what they're doing.
Oh,
But
that's
is it?
the dry group, right?
Yeah, because for the shared plot farmers, it makes sense for them to all be working off the same account. But for like you and for Lou and Finley, like you should not, your account should not be being affected by what they're doing.
Okay.
So,
I added 2 seeds.
yeah.
So you were supposed to.
We're trying to register a new one,
A new seed?
under seeds. So where it says, product number, do we use the catalog number?
I would not even worry about that. I would only for seeds, and maybe I can also come up with like a cheat sheet of like the basic things to enter and kind of say what it is.
Where do you put the cost?
So under the plant, so you go planting materials, seed. We should enter in our the word seed, crop. What's the crop you're entering?
Leek.
Leek. And what's the variety?
King Richard.
King Richard. And then the next thing is under commercial information. The only thing to worry about is the supplier, Johnny's. Okay, and then the next section, is it organic seed?
I think they know that.
Yep. So under organic information, we'll check the checkbox that says organic. And under crop information, we're gonna enter again King, what is it? King Richard?
King Richard.
And the crop, it leeks. And the last thing we enter is up here on the right hand corner, there's a checkbox.
Oh, there's my birthplace.
The track usage and cost by activity. And how much do you want to put in the real cost, or do you want to just put in the one per unit cost?
We quiere poner la
Okay. So for yours, it was 1/4 ounce, right? If you look at your seed order. And there was a discount. So the far right column, $3.68 it looks like is what you spent on a quarter of an ounce. Do you see that on your receipt?
So I just refreshed again and it went away.
I feel like it's a lot too much. Yeah,
So-
I have to
So it's a quarter ounce.
take time to.
is that,
And it costs,
digital
here's
or
the final
it's
price,
on a-
there's a discount. $3.68.
it's gonna,
So if you look at your
I think it might be a little bit
dollars
easier to
for-
look at.
So this is our cost.
Now I'm afraid if I feel
Well, just
that
for
from
I almost did it, but in case I didn't send it all the way.
Yeah, but it's, but I just don't enter it in, but just put a connection at the moment. And then when you get to cell phone reception,
Right, yeah.
it'll
And you can
automatically.
accelerate cilantro.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All the greenhouse.
Okay.
what do I have to clear?
Well, I think
Well, you have a lot of time though, as far as putting all your seeds in,
Oh,
and
okay.
you start your seeds, and
So the best way to do the naming is to do.
Did you log in at the
I think I put
meeting?
your-
No, you did your own event.
Right. So this is supply maker.
But I did log in.
So that's the best way to do it.
And I logged in.
So,
Let me try and send it out.
just to end on time today, sorry that we're having some technical difficulties. I will make sure to give that feedback back to the app people.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will be able to be worked out easily. But that's our last step for, oops. That's our last step for the computer portion. The last thing that I wanted to do, so we're not really gonna be going into any other, like, how do we use this for record keeping until next Saturday. And hopefully we'll have all the kinks worked out by then. But I just wanna get everyone to download the actual app on your phone so that when we go to the greenhouse, we can use it. So let's switch gears for a sec. And you're welcome to stick around too a little bit later and enter in seeds if you want to. But if you want to go to your app store, if you have an Apple phone, or Play Store if you have an Android, and then just search for the app Egg Squared. So well, it's written up here, I guess. And then just download it. I'm sorry I don't have a way to project this, but. And you can use your same login on your phone. And I have not yet been trained on how to use the app, but now at least we'll have it. And so all of the information that we're entering in on the computer will hopefully be feeding into our apps on our phones. So then we don't have to do any data entry on our phones, but we're just keeping our records on our phones. So, is everybody finding it? And your logins are working okay? Your login obviously is not working. Okay.
That one right there, this store. Yep.
And if we don't finish today, we can still, I think maybe I will ask,
It's called Egg Squared on the app as well, correct?
it's called Egg Squared on the app as well. I think I'm gonna try to email Dave, this guy who has developed the app, and see if he's not able to fix some of these problems so that people can enter in. The goal would be to have all your crops entered in, or at least the crops you want to plant before next Saturday, entering in all your seeds and your crops, so that we can actually keep the records on planting them, and I don't want people to enter them in if they're going to be disappearing off other people's accounts. So I'm going to email Dave. I think he actually is working today, so I might do that before I leave and ask him to finalize that, and then maybe I can have Trisha communicate. I'm going to be gone next week, but maybe Trisha can help communicate once that problem is resolved and let people know when they can enter in new things. So I'm going to end class, but I just wanted to say this is going to be recorded and uploaded onto, Trisha's also recording her screen so that it's easier to see on the video. So if there's part of this presentation that you want to review, it'll be on our Google site. And we'll also follow up with lots of answers to questions, hopefully. So thanks for bearing with me as we're exploring, and I hope it will end up being helpful and not just a pain in the butt. So you're welcome to stay and well, I maybe wouldn't enter in too many more until we fix this problem, but unless people I don't know, is yours working fine, Fenley? It's not? Okay.
I have difficulty putting in the seat, so.
Okay. But as everyone else, I know the shared plot farmers obviously are seeing things being deleted, and Waku, are you also seeing things appearing and being deleted that other people were doing?
I just wonder if you have. I think
My
you should.
seeds disappeared, the ones I entered.
Okay.
Our audience is.
Yep. My seeds disappeared except for Jesse.
Okay.
Our app more
Was
later,
yours
app more-
was yours working?
I don't know, but
I
I will try
suppose.
to.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I say, but when I check on the app, there's nothing in there. Probably
Okay.
need to figure out. But I will enter my Y and keep looking on it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we had entered the audience, but.
Then it disappeared.
We saved it, but
It disappeared. Okay. All right. Well,
we have Lisa.
I will.
Thanks a lot.
I will follow up. Yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
Waku.
yeah.
I will follow up with the app developer and try to get back to everyone as soon as he responds to me. Oh, sorry. We can pop this open.